I'm very delighted to come and give a talk about my presentation today, Institutional and Technical Transformation for Water Security in South Korea. I have prepared this presentation together with Professor Lee Joo-hwan, Chungbu University. I believe that Lee Joo-hwan has been very active in for this conference previous years, because I came across his presentation video clips on the website of this one previous years. Anyway, I'm representing the Korea Water Resources Association, 5WSA. We are really appreciating that this association support and also invitation. Let's move on my presentation today. The table contents. First, I'd like to say a bit more about water security, although Tom, he just talked about the ADB's contribution to define and also the explore that concept and definition of water security. But I'd like to just remind some of them, and also try to introduce the Korean version and Korean perceptions about water security. And then Professor Lee Joo-hwan and we have done some research about how to assess water security, slightly different format, although we also reflecting the ADB's previous research and also outcomes, but also we all reflect some other research outcomes too. And then the second part of my presentation, I'd like to introduce the two interesting cases from Korea, water sector reform, which began 2018 and still going on. And then the other approach is about the integration of a dam operation in South Korea. National background, as we all understand the complex challenges water resource management, there's a need to avoid water insecurity and to enhance water security in society. And I'd like to introduce that Professor Lee Joo-hwan and a new framework to assess water security in Asia. And also I'd like to talk about Korea, some good practices. I just want to remind you some of the major water security definition, UNESCO IHB, now Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, IHB, and then very long definition. I don't need to read one by one, like word by word, but then I just try to extract some major components: the adequate water supply, safeguarding a good quality water, protection from water-related disasters, and waterborne diseases, which is also related to public health, and ecosystem protection and the roles of sound water management for sustainable development. These are some of the major components already emphasized, reiterated by the UNESCO IHP. And also to Tom, he has introduced a very detail about this ADB's water security 5 dimensions, household and economic and urban and environmental and resilience to water-related disasters. Based on these ones, and me and others, some Korean scholars and also experts, we've been thinking about how to define and also explore that water security in the Korean context. So we have this very similar ideas, also trying to accommodate all the important elements when we discuss water security from IHP, ADB, and all World Bank and all other the development institutes, as well as also research centers, to ensure access to clean water for human beings and ecosystems and cope with water-related disasters. And also we recognize water supply, water quality control, and safety from water-related disasters and water for ecosystems. And also these are based on Korean these context, water security. Korean government, also Korean society believe that IWRM, integrate water resource management, and which is very important, and also platform or foundation to let things really happen, including river-based management. And also it's important to remind that cross-cutting policy and projects are very significant, and also resilience, which is one of the key terms these days, particularly related to climate change issues. And also the last thing is related to governance issue, as Tom already mentioned, that institutional settings and also coordinating mechanism will be very much significant. So this is the summarize that Korean water security, that if you look at the 4 boxes here, then 4 major components, and then of course that the background, also the surrounding environments are very important: cross-cutting policy and projects, institutional settings, resilience, and integrated water resource management. Let me introduce the assessment tool, which Professor Lee Joo-hwan and we have developing. We have 5 key areas, very similar with the ADBs, but slightly different one. The first one is more about the social equity, which is the touch upon that's when we talk about the three pillars of how to achieve sustainable development, we need to think about social, economic, and environmental dimension. That's why we try to look at the social dimension, social equity, and economic efficiency, resilience to water-related disasters, and environmental sustainability. And also, we also look at this related to governance, government competence. We have changed slightly different terminologies. And then this is some kind of visualization of 5 dimensions of water security assessment framework. We are using this term core area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have added this one just before that the presentation file already sent to the conference committee. These are some of the details where we have collected some data, a very different kind of data, mainly from Aquatet, but also Aquastat, and also other varieties of the statistical databases. And then we have created this water security index using this very simple but very straightforward, the WSI. So result is it's very easy to see that because we have different colors, red and blue, and in between. And if you look at the blue color means that we see that that was a positive message. Then to Japan, South Korea, and Malaysia, which is very similar with the results Tom just showed us about the ADBs, ADO, the 2020. And then also if you look at the slightly western side of Asia, and India, Pakistan, all these countries, and particularly they have very some disappointing results in core area 2, Korea 4, which is the economic efficiency, and also some other dimension environmental sustainabilities. So they are rather have lower points, that they still need to do something, particularly maybe some other better performance countries like Japan and South Korea can help and also work together, and Malaysia too. So this is the first part of my presentation. The second part is about the 2 cases from South Korea. One is about the institutional reform. The other one is about integration approach to dam operation. The water sector reform has been taking place since 2018. Before we move on that, I would like to give you some brief overview of Korea's water resource management. Korea's water resource management has been, to some extent, yes, I wouldn't really say 100% point, but successful, largely based on large dam networks, multi-purpose dams. We have 20 multi-purpose dams, large-scale ones, and 17,000 dams for irrigation. Most of they're related to agricultural water supply. And also we have multi-regional water supply system based on multi-purpose dams. And also in terms of water quality control, the 4 major rivers have been very successfully done. And nowadays we are paying more attention to ecosystem services, also water rehabilitation projects. And these are this is the map about South Korea. And Seoul is the capital, and we are situated in the heart of the Han River Basin, the largest river basin in South Korea, and there are 3 other river basins. And the slide is interestingly showing that the development of the dam storage capacity in South Korea since particularly the 1970s and 80s, and also early and up to the mid-1990s. These are some of the golden ages of dam developments in Korea. Very busy dam building, but later on we have some kind of the backfire, also the different versions of the opinions from society about the dam construction and development. And since then we have more like a reflexive modernity, and then the dam construction is almost now stopped. But anyway, we have a number of dams. We are now effectively utilizing these dams. Before 2018, Korea's water resource management is like some kind of 2 main ministries, their competition. The left-hand side, you can see the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, and the other one, Ministry of Environment. The left-hand side is MOLIT. It was in charge of bulk water supply. And Ministry of Environment was mainly focused on water quality control. But then something happens, some very much political decision, as well as some different views and reflected, very much based on IWRM as well as river-based management. We have managed to establish, you can see that in the center, 4 major river basin committees. And we have now the National Water Council. And also we have the local authorities and civil society. And the other, some varieties of ministries, they are supposed to work together, this National Water Council and 4 river basin committees. But in reality, most of the water-related resource management responsibilities have been transferred to Ministry of Environment. So there's another interesting development, which is I'll tell you. And based on this base water law, we have the okay, we have river basin committees, and also empowered Ministry of Environment. Growth-centered water policy has been reflected, and more mandates shifted from MONIT to Ministry of Environment due to political bargaining, and also voices accepted in favor of fundamental environmentalism. And some challenges ahead. Beijing water law as a good foundation for further institutional reform, but there are many things to do. And river basin management has been launched, but stakeholder participation is very much limited so far. And river basin management as a Beijing unit for water resource management, not administrative boundaries, but of course it requires very much major reshuffling of the ministries, as well as also some kind of very tough political bargaining. More responsibilities given to one ministry, more coherent, different, efficient planning and management expected. More emphasis placed on eco-friendly policies instead of construction and development-oriented policies, and which are gaining some momentum and also the welcome. But there's some other people also concerned about how to really renovate or rehabilitate some old infrastructures already built in the 1970s or 1980s. The other case study I'd like to introduce to you is the integration of dam operation in South Korea. We are doing this re-evaluation of existing dams, so that temporary use of storage allocated for future conservation purposes and sediments, and seasonal use of flood control space during the dry season and for the multi-purpose use space, and reallocation of flood control water or water supply space, also modify reservation operation plan and also method regulation, elevating existing dams for increase of storage capacity, and also use of water supply storage, not under contract, which means that there's some leftover, so we can use it as one if we have some good network of the dams. So far, the situation is that we have, as I said before, 20 multi-purpose dams and 17,000 agricultural water dams in Korea. Such a small country, but going back to the World Commission dams, back then 2000, that publication, South Korea was ranked number 7 in the world in terms of number of dams. And we talk about large dam, which is larger than, higher than 50 meters. But the small country, we got so many dams, but the problem is these dams are not really interconnected. They're not really well operated in one kind of network system. Because of that, we are trying to have some good experiment in the Han River Basin to do some integrated approach to dam operation. But the problem is there are many problems. One major problem is that there are 2 main public water companies involved. For example, K-Water, multi-purpose dams, and Korea Hydro Neutral, so nuclear power. That's the other public water company. They are in charge of hydropower development, only dams. So these are these 2 different public companies. They're supposed to work together. But anyway, which government they try to put these 2 different institutions into one and then to make some synergistic effect. So that the progress is that we try to do assessment, adequate and effective assessment of the dams in the Han River Basin, but then we need to do more assessment about the social economic aspects and also technical aspect of single or joint operation, which one would be more effective. And also management, adequate, effective management plans and process should be established. But as I said before, these 2 public water companies, they have their own different ownerships. Very complicated issue. K-Water and Korea Hydro Nuclear Power Corporation, these have different dam ownerships and also consignment management too. So stakeholder engagement, effective stakeholder engagement is required. But then the issue is that not only about these public water companies, but also some local companies, industries, as well as local residents. They are concerned about how they really to change that political economic landscape in the Han River Basin related to the dam operation. So expected outcomes, social, economic, environmental impacts avoided, minimized, and mitigated without significant gap between regions. And so that eventually we want to increase the flood control capacity, water supply capacity, and also hydropower generation. But one thing I would like to say about the hydropower generation in Korea is that very different from Thailand, also maybe Laos and Vietnam, Cambodia, which these countries, they have the higher percentage of their dependence on hydropower generation in terms of electricity supply. But Korea, we got the electricity supply from the hydropower generation is only about 1%. So we heavily depend on nuclear power and also thermal power plants so far. This is a summarizing the Korea's the water sector reform and development. It's more like a sustainable development. As I said before, mid-1990s, we faced some major events. Nakdong River final discharge. That was a turning point for Korea from water resources development towards that more environmental sustainability emphasized, and then dam construction is stopped, and then more focus on how to effectively making the dam operation more effective. So my presentation, last part is that first, towards a water secure. My presentation, last part is that first, towards a water secure society, the various dimensions of water resource management should be considered. Water security assessment, I introduced that, disclosing the risk of water insecurity and unlocking the potential for international cooperation, even at least that in Asia and the Pacific, that, as I said before, water security, good countries can work together with water insecurity countries. And the good practice from South Korea, water sector reform, the institutional path to water security, and the integrated approach to dam operation and linking dams with dams for sustainability in river basins. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor